Hello and welcome back, artists and designers. In this video we're going to talk about adding some gradients to wake up our robot. So in the last video we talked about using the knife tool to slice shapes out, or using the shape builder to divide up the shape so that we get this flat shading look. But what if we wanted to use some gradients to spice this up a little bit? So let's experiment with that for a moment, shall we? Let's click on one here. Let's click on this circle, and let's go ahead here. The easiest thing to do is make sure that your fill color is in front. We'll go ahead and click on the gradient tool here, and let's just choose one of the gradients. So you have defaults right here: linear, radial, and the freeform gradient, where you can kind of move those different parts around. As soon as you have this selected, if you have the gradient tool, you can click and drag to make that go in any direction you want. So I know we're only working with black and white right now, but just to kind of show you that. If I do the radial, if I want the highlight up top, I can go ahead and add that gradient in that way. So let's change our colors for this. With the exception of the freeform gradient, these two give you the default of black and white to start. So let's go ahead and double click. And if you don't see your swatches, let's choose our swatches. And we've got our swatches right here, so we can click on that. And then we have that nice highlight right there. So we now have this kind of highlight and shadow on this. If you like how this looks, we can go ahead and add this to our stroke palette. So go ahead over here in our strokes, and let's go ahead, oops, we got to click on it first. So once it's selected, we can go ahead and drag this sucker right down here and add that to our swatches. Although it's not working, let's try this again. Maybe hit the plus symbol. Yep, new gradient swatch, and there we go. Oh, it adds it down here. It doesn't put it automatically in the folder. It won't let you put it in there for some reason. So it's adding it in right here. Okay, no problem. Let's go ahead and apply this somewhere in our project. So let's go ahead and maybe merge these two pieces back together. Can we use Shape Builder? Sure, we can put those back together, and look at that. It added that gradient in there right away. Now, if you want to edit this gradient, go back to the gradient tool. You can click and drag here. You can adjust this. It does get a little bit tricky with how you do it, but click and drag and we can put that gradient option on there. If you want to edit the gradient itself, let's go back to our gradient. Maybe you want to make it a little darker. We can double click. We can add a darker value in there. Can we go back up to color guide while we're in here and select a darker value? Ooh, we can. That's a little dark, but let's do that one right here. Go back to gradient, so we're kind of jumping around back and forth, and we can do that. And then we could add that gradient back into our swatches by clicking on it. You can see it's highlighted here, and then boom, add that new one in, and we have another copy of it right there. So you can go and do that on pretty much anything you want. Let's say we select this. Let's try one more time. Gradient. Let's go ahead and apply this. Let's drag this out and make it more of an up and down thing like that. Maybe go this direction. And let's go ahead and make this the blue color instead. Let's pick our blue. And maybe just pick the blue again, and then let's do our color guide here for this one. So color guide, so you're flipping back and forth between these menu options, and there we go. And I think that's too light, so maybe I want to get rid of that white, and I just click on this, and let's delete that white and adjust my gradient accordingly here. So maybe I do something, whoops, other way. So you can work with gradients, and you can add as many of those to your swatches panel as you want. So if I go ahead and hit this again, select it, add it to our swatches panel, new color swatch, there you go. Adds that right in here. I can select anything and apply that gradient right to it. And then as soon as I take my gradient tool, I can rearrange that and make it go a different direction if I want by adjusting that gradient. So really easy thing to do. Explore your gradients options in your project, and I look forward to seeing what you create.